Hey guys, my name is Amanda Russell. I am a sophomore here at Missouri State, and today I'm going to share with you a little bit about the Hawaiian culture, but more specifically the Hawaiian cultural death perspectives and some of the things they believe about death and dying. So I chose to do my presentation over the Hawaiian culture because my family and I recently had the opportunity to visit Hawaii and spend some time getting to know the people and learning about their customs and their beliefs. And I found this assignment to be a really good way to dive further into that topic and see what I could find out. So first I want to start out by mentioning the cultural diversity throughout Hawaii, just because it is so unique and so different than anywhere else in the United States. So I hope you guys enjoy. So like I said, Hawaii is a multicultural state consisting of many different ethnicities, probably more than any other state actually. The cultures that compose the Hawaiian population blend in with each other a bit, along with their values, beliefs, and customs. However, traditional death attitudes and customs are kept all around for the most part. Hawaii is considered the only state in the U.S. where whites compose just 1/4 of the population, which is pretty crazy if you think about it. According to the 2010 Census Bureau, their population makeup is roughly 25% white, 2% African American, 0.3% American Indian, 39% Asian, 10% Native Hawaiian, 9% Hispanic, and so on. Hawaii is also the only region in the U.S. where all racial groups are minorities and where most of the population has its roots in the Pacific Islands or Asia instead of Europe or Africa. So just like the United States, there are all kinds of religions throughout Hawaii, including Christianity, Buddhism, Confucianism, Taoism, and even atheism. The number of pure Hawaiians has actually declined significantly to about 8,000 people today. So moving on to their attitudes towards death in the Hawaiian culture. As in other cultures, Native Hawaiians understand that death is the ultimate reality. So the natural, inevitable outcome deserves great respect, which is shown in many different ways I will highlight later in this presentation. The attitudes of historical Hawaiians are a bit different than the attitudes of Native Hawaiians today, since culture changes over time. Historically, this culture expressed grief through rituals, chanting, and other unusual ways like degrading their own bodies. More commonly now, the 5 stages of grief are likely to take place. So denial and isolation, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Family support, although has always been important, is more heavily relied on now than physical expressions. The family support system is comforting in times of difficulty. Another thing that historical Hawaiians did that natives today still practice is what's called storytelling. So not only does storytelling help bring back memories of loved ones, but it promotes the belief that they are keeping their loved ones alive through the stories, which is why their spirits never fade. So they'll tell stories and memories of their loved ones together and share smiles and laughs. But either way, the grieving process is certainly a process that is not to be hurried or rushed. So on to beliefs and understandings surrounding death. In order to understand Hawaiian culture at all, first you really have to understand that Lilo and Stitch quote, "Ohana" means family, since family was and really still is the center of their culture. The extended family is a huge part of traditional Hawaiian values, and not only the living are considered family around here. Ancestors are incredibly important even after they're gone. Native Hawaiians strongly believe in communicating with their deceased loved ones. They can be positively affected by their real-world experiences after losing a loved one. For example, the deceased might place a rainbow in the sky in order to reach out to the living. Not to be confused with reincarnation of their ancestor as a rainbow, but instead, when someone dies, the deceased spirit remains in the world and escorts the gods. Bones are sacred and therefore shall not be destroyed. Bodies may be buried but never burned. So cremation is often not acceptable unless that person is being punished for something they've done. Native Hawaiians believe that people possess a certain mana So members of the royal family are believed to have great mana or a certain power that is left behind in the bones. So this mana remains in the bones after death and keeps their royal ancestors in power. The burial process is extra specific due to this belief. So as for the customs and rituals surrounding Native Hawaiian culture, like I said, burials were some of the most important. Bones were treasured and treated with great respect since they represented their ancestors' eternal life. It is believed that touching a dead body before preparing it for burial could result in the loss of your own mana due to the empty body yearning for more. In preparation for death, people would often choose where they wanted their bones to lie when they were gone. Many times they would be placed near other family ancestral gods, like in the ocean or near a volcano, wherever they thought their ancestors were residing after death. Cave burials were not uncommon for Hawaiian people of the past since they were abundant and didn't require much physical labor. Cave burial location of commoners or people not belonging to the royal family could be rather random. Whether remains were placed in the family cave or another location nearby, it was often just about convenience and safety from harsh weather conditions. When it came to royal bones, things were a little different. These locations were picked very carefully with the intent that no one would be able to find the bones and receive the mana left behind in them. They were guarded by commoners who volunteered to protect it, even if it meant their life. Oftentimes, these commoners would volunteer to do this out of the goodness of their hearts, and they were willing to do anything to protect the mana. Continuing on with customs and rituals, we have to talk about funerals of Native Hawaiians. They are a little bit different than the funeral that you would expect today. Although they were sad gatherings, things like food and colorful clothing were a part of the final farewell. After the ceremony, food was oftentimes served and good conversation was had in order to keep the spirit alive and reminisce in the memories of their life. Most mortuaries in Hawaii actually had built-in kitchens and dining places, so this was able to take place preceding death. The bright dresses, flowers, lace necklaces, and colorful clothing usually represented something about life, whether it be the flowers associated with breath or the ginger symbolizing things passed too soon. According to this incredibly unique culture, people pass on but never truly leave us. So although it was sad, it was somewhat of a celebration of life. The deceased show signs to those on earth to remind them of the love that never fades between family members. So like I mentioned earlier, the rainbow in the sky or certain things they would do just to show that they were still there. So funeral announcements actually are sent out for these events that requested proper attire. So they would say things like leis required or bright colorful clothing or things like that. So goodbye is spoken, but the loved ones remain with them anyways. Thank you guys so much for listening. This topic was so much fun to research and learn about. I hope by now you have a better understanding of the Hawaiian culture in general after watching my presentation, but more importantly, some new knowledge about their cultural perspective on death. So here is a list of the resources I used in order to gather the information for my presentation. A big shout out to the book, which had a lot of great information along with these two scholarly articles.